is a watercolour stamped card that I've done. I'm really pleased with this card, to be honest with you, and it's being used using my new stamp collection, which is the With Sympathy collection. It's a beautiful stamp and it stamps really, really well. So I'm also using one of my new sentiments that I released a couple of days ago, and that will be used on this card. So for this tutorial then you will need a couple of things. You will need your watercolour brush, the colours of your choice obviously, but they need to be water based. So some watercoloured pens, i.e. Tim Holtz pens, some watercoloured inks, and these flowers are going to be in pink, and I've also picked a Memento black ink to stamp my sentiment out. I'm also going to try a new pad today, and it's a Stampin' Up ink pad, and it's a celery one, I think it's called. So let's give it a blast and see how it goes. So to start the card, what I did was I inked up my stamp using the celery coloured Stampin' Up ink pad, and I stamped it out onto some watercoloured cardstock. Make sure that I used my stamp mat underneath so I got a nice crisp even finish. I really liked this colour. It's the first time I've used the ink pad, but I was really pleased with the colour, and to top it off they're actually water based, so they do blend really well with water. So it's always good to have a piece of scratch paper at the side, so if you get a lot of water on the tip of your brush you can just get rid of the excess onto your paper. So to start off then, all I did was I wet the areas where I was going to start. I didn't wet the whole image like I have done in the past on my tutorials, I just wet the areas which I wanted to start on. So I started on the flower that was at the front, and what I found was when I was wetting the card and I came to add my first colour, which is the Tim Holtz Spun Sugar, I found that the colour wasn't showing very well on the camera, but when I was looking at the image it was showing beautifully, but the camera just didn't do the colour any justice. So what I decided to do was I decided to do it in the lighter colour first, and then I went on and added a darker colour pink, which was the Picked Raspberries, which is also from the Tim Holtz collection. So if you're wondering why at the end of this tutorial this image is a lot darker than the other one, it's because I wanted you to see on camera what I was actually doing. The other one just didn't show up very well, but still all the same I ended up with a beautiful card at the end of it. So I just used the spun sugar and I spread it all over where I've already put the water. And the good thing about this was the stamp itself obviously was stamped in a watercolour as well, and when I added the water the colour bled into the pink as well, and it gave a really lovely subtle colour. So it's a super pale pink. However, irrespective of you not being able to see it very well, I still went all over the flowers and covered them all in the light shade of pink first. My inspiration for this card was I saw a insert inside a card, and it had been, the image inside had been completely muted out and you could just faintly see it, so I really liked the effect it gave. So what I tried to achieve using these colours was that same effect, like it had been muted out and diluted. And in the first card I was so pleased how it came out that I've actually created it a few more times, and I've done some darker than others and some not as dark. So as you can see there, the green has bled into the pink. That is what I wanted to happen. That wasn't a happy mistake, that was what I wanted to happen. So after I've used the light coloured pink, I then move on to the picked raspberry, which is a colour that's a lot more intense than the one I've just used. And it's the same concept. I just dipped my brush into the ink on my acrylic block and I just blended it in as much as I could. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some music on and speed the process up so you don't get bored just watching me add colour to water. If you've got any questions, you can see the links below. You can ask me any questions you like, and I hope you like what you see. And I'll catch up with you when this bit of colouring has been done. So when I was happy that I'd completed the image, a lot brighter this time so you could see the effect on camera, I then dried it off with my heat gun. Made sure it was super dry as I didn't want the black sentiment to bleed into the stalk. And as you can see, when you use your heat gun, the colours do actually dry a lot lighter. So I inked up my stamp with my Memento black ink, giving it real good coverage because I wanted it to be super black so it faded out the background. Made sure it was level using a stamp mat underneath, and I just stamped it out. And then I decided to add some pearls to the centres of the flowers to give them a lift. And then all I did was I matte and layered it onto some white cardstock, which was in turn matted onto some brown cardstock, and then it was just layered onto a card. And then again, happy mistakes, I used a brand new bottle of glue, and when I came to put it on, it came out super fast and my card was covered in glue, and it took ages for me to stick it down. So please persevere with me at this point, as the glue just took ages to dry, and everywhere where I put my hands the card lifted. So that will teach me for next time. I really did think it wasn't going to stick. I was starting to get slightly panicked. However, it eventually did stick and it looked brilliant in my opinion. So the two cards, when I put them together, you could really see the difference. One was a lot darker and it was this one that was darker, simply because I felt you couldn't see on camera me trying to do the tutorial. But again, they were both beautiful and I was pleased with them both. So if you give it a go, I'm sure you will get a completely different look anyway. But if you follow the guidelines that I've showed you, I'm sure you will end up with a super cool, super image. And finally, after all that gluing, it finally stuck down. So you can see it is quite dark and the other one's a lot lighter, but still all the same. So I hope you liked my tutorial. If you like what you see, you can give me the thumbs up, and I will catch you all later. Take care, bye bye.